All right, folks. Welcome to this the training that was supposed to be in February, but we had a cabinet meeting, so we moved it to today. So this is actually February's training, and it's on grants. And what an important topic to be talking about. It's like, in some cases, just like free money. Sometimes it requires work on our parts, and we'll get into that. But there are grants out there, especially DCG grants that we will maybe talking about, that is just sitting out there waiting for you. So our speaker today is Lion Tasha Thatcher. She is with the Diabetes Wellness Club in Las Vegas, and she has had positions where she was grant administrator, correct?
Yes.
And yeah, so she would not only get the grants, but she would administer the grants and close out the grants. So she is kind of the uh, uh, subject matter expert in this group. And so I thought, what a perfect speaker to have for today's training. Um, I don't think I have anything else. I'm going to throw it over to Tasha.
Okay.
We can do questions at the end, or you can do questions in the middle. It really doesn't matter. And Tasha, I'll be running your PowerPoint. So
Okay.
go ahead.
Wonderful. Thank you. And thank you all for taking time out of your Sunday afternoon to join me for this. For some of you who might not know, I was the development manager and grants manager for the Nevada Diabetes Association for about 5 years. And during that time, I wrote grants at many different levels, from just a simple Walmart grant request for funding to more complicated government grants. So it's grant writing is a lot of fun. It is a lot of work. But once you get that approval letter, it just, makes your day, because you'll be able to make a difference. You'll be able to make a difference in the community with funding. So you can go ahead and get started.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, so bear with me.
Okay.
Well, that didn't quite work. Hold on just a moment. I'm going to stop sharing. Let's see. I'm not sure why that's not sharing this, but it really doesn't matter. I will. There we go. Can you folks see what I'm seeing?
Are you seeing grant writing?
Are you seeing that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Okay, that's what I wanted.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's better. That's better.
Okay, there you go.
So this is just my introductory slide, as you can see. Go ahead and move to the next one. So today I do have an agenda. We already had our introduction, and here's just a few highlights that I'm going to hit in regards to grant writing. We're going to talk about the mission statements, organizational history, your narrative, your population, goals and projected outcomes, your evaluation, recognition, reporting, and a budget. And those are all key points that are included in grant applications. Oh, you
Next
go
slide.
to the
Okay.
next
There you
slide.
go.
Yeah. Okay,
Okay.
so our objectives for today is you will be able to demonstrate an increased understanding of the grant writing process. You'll be able to identify and understand the parts of a grant application. And you'll be able to understand the importance of grant reporting. And you'll also understand the importance of recognition for funding. And those are especially the last 2 points. Those are essential for some organizations who do fund more than once. Because they want to know, what their money is doing, the impact. And so those are very key points of today's presentation are the last two objectives. Okay, what is a grant? Just like Adam had mentioned at the beginning, it's a term that refers to funding that is received by an organization that doesn't have to be repaid. That is free money for you to support your programs and services for the community. And grants, like I said, in order to receive a grant, you must complete an application. Some applications are very simplistic. Some are more complicated. Some grant applications ask you the same question over again, but in different words. So it gets a little bit more complicated. And I noticed those more complicated grant questions when you're, moving into the high dollar grants, asking for more than $20,000, or the federal grants that the government offers.
Tasha, I have a question.
Yes.
When they ask the same question over again, is that by design? Or
Yes.
is that just not a grant that is just not well written?
No, there was one organization that I applied for a grant, and they had several questions regarding diversity, inclusion, and equity. And each one of those questions referring to those different aspects of the grant and the impact on the community and your organization's stance, they just changed the wording. And I think it's just more of a test to, my opinion is just a test to see, is your organization, steadfast in its belief.
Thank you.
It doesn't have anything to do with poor grant writing. It's just they want to make sure that there's a clear understanding, and that what your organization is saying is it's parallel across the board.
Got it.
Okay, and there are different types of grants: state or local agencies, private foundations, corporate funding, and I did not include federal in here. But the private foundations, those are more, families who have set up, wealthy families who have set up a trust or a foundation. Down here in Las Vegas, we have the Engelstadt Foundation. Engelstadt was involved in the hotel industry. He was a businessman, and he has a foundation, Ralph Engelstadt. And that's one of the, larger, more established foundations down here. The Wynn Hotel has a foundation, MGM. Up in Northern Nevada, some larger private foundations are the Robert Z. Hawkins Foundation, the Nell Redfield Foundation. If I'm sure living in Northern Nevada, you've seen the different buildings that have been named after people, especially on the UNR campus. I know Nell Redfield has a building on the UNR campus. Robert Z. Hawkins, there's several things that have been named after him as well. State or local agencies, like the state governments, counties, the city, like the city of Las Vegas, the Clark County, they have grants that open up. I know up in Northern Nevada, Washoe County has grants, and those are more on the federal, they kind of align with the federal grant applications. You have to go through, an initial process, and then you also have to, you have to get screened, get invited to apply for the grant, and then you also have most of them are reimbursement grants, where you apply for the funding, you front the money for your projects, and you're paid back when you submit the proper documentation. And several corporations also have corporate funding, and some of the corporate foundations, you don't have to do the huge grant application, a large grant application, but there is a process you do have to go through in order to receive grant funding. All right. So one of the main questions that you're asked in a grant is to state your mission statement and for your organization. And essentially, a mission statement is a clear, concise explanation of the organization's purpose, intention, and existence. It incorporates your vision, the purpose and direction that you're going, and it above all, the most important point is that it establishes what makes your organization special, unique, different from anyone else. It tells the funder, why, what makes you stand out from other, what makes you stand out from other entities applying for this grant. And I did include an example. The mission of the Las Vegas Lions Diabetes Wellness Club is to promote the importance of foot screenings as they relate to potential life-threatening complications caused by diabetes. So if we were to submit a grant to get funding for our foot screening process, that would be a mission statement that we could use. And a mission statement is not something that is set in stone. And as our Lions clubs, we organizations, as times change and things change, the mission statement changes because you can make it more, your focus. If your focus is still the same, for example, ours would be promoting diabetes awareness, but maybe we're not going to do foot screenings anymore. Maybe we're going to partner with a local lab and actually do testing at health fairs and at different sites. So your mission statement is not something that has to be set in stone. It can change with the times.
So I have a question on that too. So if your club does several different things, so say you were doing testing and you wanted to get a grant for that, and say you were doing foot screenings and you wanted to get a grant for that, could your mission statement be different for each of those at the same time?
You could, or you can just incorporate it into one and just build on it.
Got it.
And include everything you do. But it's your mission statement is what sets you apart.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay, so grant applications often ask your organization history. And in the grant, you need to just provide a brief overview. How long has it been in existence? For example, if we're doing a Lions grant, how long has your club been in existence? What are your main areas of focus? What are some accomplishments that your club or your organization has experienced throughout the years? And what is the community impact of the service projects? So when you do your organizational history, that's your time to shine. That's your, I guess I'd like to call it your bragging rights. It invites the person who is reviewing the grants, it gets them engaged. Okay, go ahead next. All right, the narrative, tell your story. And this is the key element to grant writing. It's your narrative is your opportunity to really show the grant and review committee with your, provide them with your story and your story will provide them with an understanding of how your organization will use the funds to fulfill its mission, how the organization aligns with the funder's value and mission. This is once again another part of your time to shine. In years past, people have puppies and children were pulling at the heartstrings. You will get the funder's attention. You're going to get the grant funding if you pull at those heartstrings. I always think about the Sarah McLachlan the commercials for their donating to the Animal Foundation. It just tugs at your heartstrings. Okay, part of your story, you tug at the heartstrings, but it's in you can be very creative with the community impact and the need in the community. Be very in your narrative, you be very specific about what you are going to do with the funds, how those funds are going to affect the community. Tell your story, you know, and just make it shine. That this is one of the key engagement points for grants is your narrative. Any questions about your narrative? Janice, did you have a question?
No, ma'am.
Oh, okay. I just saw your little square highlight.
Oh,
Right.
sometimes my mouse just runs out of control.
It's all good. And your population served, okay? Funders want to know who you are serving in our community. You've requested money from them. They want to know what your money is going to do. They want to know the demographic information, the genders that you're going to be serving, the ages, the ethnicities, and the special needs. And that all aligns with the diversity, inclusion, and equity piece that is becoming more and more critical in our community. Next slide. Okay, goals and projected outcomes. Okay, so you want money. Okay, you want to do something fabulous in our community with this money. Well, you can't just do something fabulous. You have to have a goal. Okay, and a goal is basically just a broad general statement of what is wanted to be achieved through the program. For example, children in need will receive glasses to improve their vision. And I thought of that with following the Lions vision mission. Okay. And your projected outcomes are more specific and measurable statements. Okay. So your outcomes have to be more specific. For example, with the funding, 20 children in need are going to receive a vision evaluation by a licensed optometrist, and if needed, a prescription for glasses at no charge to their family. So your goals are broad in general, okay? And then your projected outcomes are more specific and measurable because you're going to target X amount of children, X amount of adults, what you're going to do, and what is the outcome going to be after you do what you're going to do. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
All right, next slide. Okay, evaluation. Okay, so when you're filling out a grant application, there is an evaluation piece. The funders want to know how you as an organization are going to measure the success or evaluate the success of your program or service and the impact that it had on the community. It does measure program evaluation, not only measures success, but also it assists you to plan for the future. Say, for example, you received all of this money for vision screenings for children, but you found that, in your initial, grant request, you had one specific age group, we'll just say 6 to 10. But the children who came to your screenings were a little bit older than 10. So, maybe I need to expand, my outreach to include, a different group. And you just find, my apologies. Sorry, the dogs are going bananas. They, find out what they, sorry, I lost my train of thought because of the dogs. Anyway, so how you can regroup and make it better, and then sometimes, if it was a success, okay, and you didn't want to make any changes, you can also, say, okay, well, let's see how we can even expand it even further. Maybe, if you're doing vision screenings at, certain community centers, well, maybe let's go to the next county and see if we could do vision screenings at another, just your evaluation is a time for self-reflection. And, it's all about making things better and how to. Okay. All right, go ahead next. All right. So another part of the grant application process is organizations want to know how they're going to get recognized for their funding, for their donation. Some organizations are they want a presence. They want their name in printed material. They want their name on a truck.
Inside your Albertson store on the corner of Durango Drive.
Okay. They want their name in lights. Okay. Other donors and foundations are perfectly fine being recognized on a website, on a social media post, on print. But I will go through these, and explain a few of them just to give you a better idea of what the expectation would be. When you receive funding, it is very important as an organization to send a letter of acknowledgement and appreciation within 24 to 48 hours of receiving the award. When you have that check in your hand, it's very important that you recognize the funder, the funding source. Send them a letter of appreciation. I've also made phone calls and sent a letter because they need to know that we are engaged with them, that we care about what they've done for us. Okay, also too, social media posts. That's one way to promote where you have received money. Thanks to the generous donation from the Anglo Stout Foundation, we were able to provide, make it, let the community know who is supporting you, who is supporting what you're doing. Print media, flyers, t-shirts, press releases. And then also too, many funders like to have a small, it's just a personal touch, a special gift with a personal thank you note. And another way to show recognition is to invite the people who have provided you with money to attend an event that you're doing. If you're doing a golf tournament and they've, sponsored, if you're doing a camp, invite people to the camp. If you're doing an eye screening, have the funders come and see exactly how you do the eye screenings. Doing the foot screenings, same thing. You want to establish that stewardship between your organization or your club and who is giving you the money. Because it shows that, they're important to you and they're not just a source of money. You're just going to get the money, take the money, do your thing and run. You want to keep the funders engaged and steward those relationships. Okay, grant reporting. Okay, this, I'll be honest with you, this was my least favorite part of grant writing. Because sometimes funders can be they can go either way. Sometimes funders want an in-depth formal report and they provide you with the form. Some funders just send us a letter, tell us what you did, make sure you include this. Some funders want a 6-month report, a 9-month report, and then a 12-month report. So it all depends. And it's very important for you to complete the reporting portion of the grant because sometimes you will not be considered for a grant if you've been awarded money and you do not complete the reporting because they don't know what you actually did with the money. The acknowledgement was wonderful, but if you don't complete the reporting, they are not going to know what you did. And so it's very critical that if you apply for a grant, receive the funding, use the funding, it is important and critical to communicate back to the funder with what you did with the money. And I just included some things that, funders have requested from, their reporting, in their reporting process. The statement of appreciation with the amount of money that you received, the dates the program was held, how many people were served by the monies received, How much money did you actually spend on the program? Because there is, that, you project what you're going to spend, and then there's the actual money spent. Your plans for the future. And then also too, how was the program successful? What impact did it have on the community? And then if you have photographs, include those in your reporting. I know with the District 46 Foundation, we would love to have photographs from the eye screenings, the foot screenings, whatever you have received grant funding for. Send pictures, send little write-ups, just so that we can put it on our website and we can put it out on our social media. So reporting is very, very important. And if you don't, and then keep in mind that if you apply for a grant and you do not use all of your funds within a specific time frame, those funds need to be returned, that the unused funds need to be returned to the funder within the specified time that is listed in the grant agreement. So it's very important that all ties into reporting. I would say reporting is one of the most important parts of grant writing. Okay, your budget. Funders want your budget. They want your, organization budget, your program budget. So your program budget is how much is it going to cost to implement this program or service? And budgets can be very simple. Just an Excel spreadsheet that, you create the projected line item budget of your anticipated costs. And if your grant funding is used to purchase a specific item, say, for example, an eye screening machine, provide that total cost and the invoice as part of your budget. And then with matching grants, we require a budget, sources of funding, and amounts. Those would be secured pledges, and then your requested fund from the organization. And budgets, are great to, keep track of, what you spend on one program for year to year, if you're applying for grants, over time, So say, for example, you get a grant for $10,000 for a program this year through, a foundation. Next year, you find out after you've gone through your budget, it's going to cost you about $2,500 more. So the next year you apply for, $2,500 more. I mean, you just, times change. We have inflation. So it's very important to have that budget. And, if you're under budget, it's fine. If you're over budget, it's fine too. The funders just want to see the numbers. They want to know that you've been thoughtful in your request. Okay, so now we'll talk a little bit more. Are there any questions on what I talked about before? My slides and everything I was talking about, that is, incorporated into the District 46 Foundation grant. But also too, there are other grants available that Lions can apply for if you do have that 501c3 status as a club. And there, the private foundation through corporations as well. Those all apply to, all of those entities, as well as parts of it does apply to the District 46 Foundation as well. Do I have any questions on anything? Okay, I'm going to just move on to our District 46 Foundation. And so the purpose of the District 46 Foundation is to raise and manage funds to support charitable and community service projects connected with the Lions District 46 Foundation and Lions Clubs International. The foundation may also provide financial support to other Lions organizations and charities with similar goals, and work with local organizations to improve and strengthen charitable efforts within our community. So we do have community grant. We do have grant funding available through the District 46 Foundation. Next slide. Okay. We have the opportunity for the matching grants in support of these community service projects that are connected with the Lions District 46, as well as Lions Club International. And the grant application can be found, and I've included the web address. We have a fillable PDF online, and that is, the grant applications are reviewed by the board at the summer, fall, and winter cabinet meetings, as well as at the spring convention. And application must be received prior to the meeting. And rule of thumb is at least 30 days in advance. Now, with these matching grants, and I'll just use diabetes wellness as an example. If we were to apply for a grant, one of our main focuses is diabetes wellness, education, and prevention. And we do foot screenings in our community. Well, our foot screenings require certain materials. So we can get, so we are running short on the filaments that we use. So we can't afford to purchase the filaments. So we're going to, filaments and socks will apply for this grant, because we give socks to people who have their foot screened as well. So we're going to apply. We have, another club. Our club is going to contribute X amount of dollars. We also have, another person who's privately donating money towards the matching grant. There's another club that wants to be involved. So we have, we have three secure donors to match our grant. So say our example, our grant is $5,000. Our total grant is $5,000. We have $2,500 secured of that $5,000, and we're requesting $2,500 from the foundation. So we complete our application. We have our budget. We have our story. We have our community impact. We submit it online. The board reviews it, and if it approves, we get our $2,500 so that we can purchase items for our diabetes awareness and prevention foot screening mission. It's very easy. It's money that is here. And then there's also, and I'll have Adam speak to the DCG grants as well after I complete this. So, the District 46 Foundation, the money is there. Last year, we did award Carson City Host Lions with a grant for their eye screenings to purchase a new machine. And it's been very successful. Their grant has been officially closed. It's been reported on. They're actively conducting screenings as stated in their original grant request. Okay, next slide. And then if you have any questions, here's all my contact information. And what I will do, Adam, is I have a list of, just some outside agencies that I'll have sent out to people for, places to go for grants, outside of Lions that might, potentially support the different programs that our district is doing. And then here's one simple one that I'll speak to right now is Walmart has a grant program. I don't know if anybody was aware of that. You do have to have a 501c3. You do have to have a bank account where they can, automatically deposit. But you sign up through, you sign up through the Walmart website. It's their community grants through an organization called Spark. And they do 4 awards per year. They have 4 opportunities to apply for these grants. The application process, I kid you not, takes 5 minutes. You fill out contact information, you say what you want to use the money for, and you hit submit, and it goes to a store, and you send it to different stores that you can apply to in your area, and the store managers review it. They say, oh, this is something we would be interested in, and they'll approve your grant. I believe it's up to $2,500 per request that they will approve. So, and seriously, the applicant, one night when I was working for the organization, I filled out probably about 15 requests in like 30 minutes. And I got 7 awards, so it was very easy, but, when you are, and just a rule of thumb, when you are writing a grant application, really take some time and be very thoughtful in your responses. Make sure that your story is solid. Make sure that your mission, everything is very clear. You want the person that is reading the grant, they don't know anything about your organization. They don't know anything. And this is your time. Your grant paints a picture for them to where they can say, oh, this is what they do. And this is what that aligns with our mission.
Janice, did you have a question? Oh, you're muted.
So Tasha.
Okay. Yeah.
So Tasha, on with the District 46 Foundation, how many on the average requests you get for a grant per year?
Well, last year we received 1 request for funding. Wow. Since I've been on the board, we've approved 2 grants.
So that kind of leads me into another question: is why is it that you think that you're not getting more grant requests than 2 out of however many years that you've been on the foundation?
We've publicized it. And I'm thinking, maybe some people still aren't really aware of the funding that's available. The clubs are not aware. Maybe there's not somebody who wants to take on the responsibility to apply for the grant. Excuse me. It could be, several reasons. Go ahead.
Next year, I'm going to be global service, and I'm going to be in contact with every club talking about their service projects. So I'll make sure that I pass that on, that, hey, you know what? You've got this service project. Do you need any money for that? Here's this and this and this. And then you said you were going to send out some grant opportunities. If you'll send that to me, I'll post that on our Facebook page as well.
Okay, definitely. And these are just, local community organizations that have low-lying fruit, that, are outside of Lions International, the District 46 Foundation, outside of Lions International, and, funding opportunities. Walmart is easy peasy. It is, and they're very generous, and Sam's Club is part of that group as well. So, but I do have some, local, both for Northern Nevada and Southern Nevada.
Is there a maximum to be asked for the district foundation? Like a maximum request of what you might grant?
Yes.
And what's that?
We do have that. We do have John Clumba has, a limit to what we can give like per year. Like we're not, if you apply for, like a $25,000 grant from District 46 Foundation, I don't think that's going to get approved. Right. But we do have, I believe I would have to go back and look at my records. But I think we have a limit to, I think is it 5,500?
Yeah, it's a percentage. It's based on a percentage.
It's based on a percentage
of what we have in how much we have in the foundation available.
Yeah. I know
Yeah.
one year at one of the meetings, 5,500 came out, is what's sticking in my mind.
Okay.
But now for that Walmart grant, did you say that you have to be a 501c3?
You do have to have a 501c3 letter. And for that, it would have to be, because I know several clubs do have that 501c3 letter. So it would be a little bit restrictive to those clubs.
Now clubs could use the foundation
Correct.
as a conduit for that. However, that the foundation would require a certain small percentage of that award
Correct.
as a as a
As a,
as a
I guess you could say
I'm
as
not
a
going to call it a
donation.
fee, but a thank you for
Yeah.
allowing us to use them to use the 501c3.
Right.
My next question would be, what is that percentage?
Yeah, percentage.
It's about
It's not very
10%.
high.
No.
Yeah.
Now, I'm just curiosity because Read Between the Lines is not a 501c3. And
Most aren't.
yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that would be my question. Lord knows if that would be like the person's just handling things, and that works for me. So yeah, thank you.
Yes, and also too, Adam, they can also apply to get that money back through a grant, through a matching grant. Remember the little
Yeah.
caveat?
Yeah.
So
Now, you want me to go into DCG real quick?
yes, if you don't mind.
Okay. So DCG grants, district and community grants. So if a club individually donates to LCIF in the amount of $5,000 or more in the year, in a calendar or in a Lions year, they will get a percentage of that back, and I think it's 15% back, and that accumulates for like 15 years. It can sit in an account at LCIF. So, as an example, Las Vegas Host has close to $5,000 sitting in an account. They can apply to LCIF to use that money. They can use that money for a humanitarian purpose. They can use that in accumulating enough funds to do a matching grant. If they're looking at a matching grant from somewhere, they can use that money for that. But the district also has DCG funds sitting in an account, and that is accumulated if your district donates over $10,000 in a year. And our district has been donating just under $50,000 a year for a while. And so we have about $20,000 sitting in an account waiting for people. Now we have just finished creating the fillable PDF for that. We don't know where it's going to live yet. We haven't decided that, but that money is available. So don't hesitate to reach out for that as well. So that's how that works. And we're going to be receiving, depending on how much you or your district donates, that amount is going up now. It's not a flat 15 anymore. It goes up to like 20%, 25%, 30%, depending on how much your district donates. So that's what I know.
Thank you, Adam.
You're welcome.
I wish, more that's a definite wonderful resource for our clubs. I mean, we're, like Lions, I think a lot of people, they don't think, to utilize these resources. And it just kind of aligns with a few years ago when I was involved with the Nevada Diabetes Association, and I would attend different meetings. The state of Nevada had hundreds of thousands, up to millions of dollars in grant funds that were allocated to our state that were unused because people just didn't apply for them. And, and I don't know if it's because it comes off as intimidating or what, but, when there's free money involved, you can't get anywhere. You're not going to get that money. It's not going to come knocking on your door. You have to go knock on the door to get it.
Yeah.
And I received about $250,000 in federal grants, for the organization. And it took a lot of work, but it ended up being worth it in the end.
West, Carol Confino also applied for a grant a couple of years ago and actually got it. Was about $16,000. Yeah, for Lions Quest.
Do you remember what organization she applied to? Was it through Lions or was it an outside?
I think it was through Lions.
Okay.
I think it was Lions.
Yeah, and the LCI grants too. Those are, wonderful. They're like LCI grants. I know Jeanette Rosenberg for her Rosenberg Initiative received a grant.
Yep.
I want to, with the changes within the Nevada Diabetes Association from when I was there to now, I think, that would be great to, apply for the Nevada Diabetes Association to apply for a grant through Lions again, in support of diabetes.
Paul, to answer your question, I was thinking, what I think the major underlying issue is not that people don't need the money, it's not that they're not listening and know that money is out there. Maybe that's part of it. But the other part is, I think it's an intimidation factor in the process. They think it's going to be overly complicated.
Well, I agree with that, Adam. And I'll tell you, to both you and Tasha, I think it would be very well worth at a cabinet meeting or even a convention if you had your form that you use to apply for, and if they actually, with their own eyes, saw how easy it really is to accomplish, maybe that would be enough to get them to apply.
How about we do this? How about at the convention, the upcoming convention, how about we put something out that says, look, we want you to come to the convention with the expectation of applying for a grant while you're here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I would thoroughly
What would you like that money? What would you like that money for? And then be prepared to walk them through how they're going to get that money, whether it's from the foundation or a DCG grant, and say, come here with those desires in mind.
I think that's an excellent idea because whether we like it or not, my personal opinion is that maybe it's going to take a bit of hand holding, if you may,
right,
to get it done. I'm all for it.
We just have to be especially we have to be cognizant of the amount we have available in the DCG funds, but we have to also be cognizant. We have to remember. We have to remember that we can only give out a certain percentage of the foundation amount.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as we know where that stands, then we would be able to say to someone, hey, you know what? You're asking for $2,000. Well, we can't do that through the foundation, but we can do that through DCG. Exactly. Let's walk you through this process, and we'll help you get that grant. We'll start the process for you right here. And I think that might be the hand holding they need.
Yes. May I say something?
Sure, Jenny.
Yes.
I was talking to the other clubs or anybody that are into grants. They always say the most intimidating, as what you said a while ago, was the accountability and the responsibility of reporting. They're so scared that they don't have a receipt and all of these things. But the education, the awareness that this have to be done to be able to have a successful grant and be able to get more grants in the future is to have it in details. They said they are so tedious that they're so scared about it.
Mm-hmm. I think that's absolutely correct.
Right. And that's why when you're, you have someone assigned in your club to manage the grant for example, whether it's the treasurer, the
Right.
secretary, or the president, and that one person has the receipts, that person has the original submission, that person has the budget. So this way, everything is just in one folder, and it's not that hard, when I was managing grants, every foundation that I applied to had its own folder, and I kept it online, and I also made a hard copy because you never know what's going to happen to technology. And when it came time for reporting, I would, just pull out the manila folder, and everything I needed was there.
Maybe we provide that. Maybe we provide that to anybody that comes to start the process. We'll provide them with a manila envelope or a 3-ring binder or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And say, you've come with your idea, come with a name as well of who's going to be your grant administrator.
Yes.
And walk them through that process.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's going to take maybe, and this is just a thought, is someone within say the DCG or the 46 Foundation that is a go-to person, that if I wanted a grant and maybe there was something I didn't understand about the process or a question on the form or whatever, that I could go to, that may take some of that fearfulness away. I mean, I think seriously, I think we really need to consider about trying to do something different than what we're doing, because what we're doing isn't working.
Right.
That's true. It's already free, and then they don't avail of it. There's something wrong with it.
And I think because Jim hasn't turned his camera on the entire time, we ought to nominate him.
I agree.
Yes.
Yeah. I raise my hand.
Me too.
Not it.
Not it.
Not it.
Even right, man.
That's funny.
I mean, I'll be.
Oh, now you speak.
Well, I had chores to do, man.
Are you naked?
No,
Not anymore.
Oh, no.
Not anymore.
From the
Nobody
neck up,
wants-
he is.
But I mean, it's it does come across as intimidating. But our grant application, take a look at it. Go onto the website. It is not overly complicated. It's not overly, it just has the general points. And if somebody has, in these slide presentations, like with the community impact, the goals, the intended outcomes, the examples are there, and all you have to do is just put your wording in,
Right.
and the mission statement is also too, that's pretty, that's pretty clear cut, It's
I
very.
think we could walk people through this process.
Yes.
Oh, very
And I'll
easily.
tell you, once you have 1 or 2 clubs that take this on, and the word will spread how easy it is.
And with Carson City Host Lions, they received the grant funding last year. It wasn't very difficult at all. We gave them the funds. I think we had their report by the fall, and it was like I said, easy peasy.
But who was the person that was doing the grant writing in that particular case, and that all says it all.
Right.
Pretty thorough, pretty.
You bet.
Yeah, pretty detail-oriented person.
You bet.
Right.
Yeah.
And as long as we can read it, understand it, have an idea, the budget aligns, the numbers, the invoice. I mean, it's a very simple process.
All right.
Good.
So
Wow.
Do we have any questions on this? I'm sure we do, but any further questions for this meeting, this class?
But
I
If
just
not-
wish a lot of them have come to participate and listen to this. This is very important.
Yeah. Well, it'll be on our YouTube channel here
Okay.
in not too long. And the person we were talking about, the detail-oriented person, she's actually in my driveway right now.
Oh,
I'm gonna go hand her some tickets.
oh,
So,
wonderful. So, but I
anyway.
appreciate all of you taking the time to, participate today. If you have any questions, and I'll have this slide presentation available for you as well. And, and Adam, I think, you and I will have that conversation before the convention
Okay.
and, get something in play.
Okay.
I have an idea and, we'll just, take it from there. But hopefully next year we'll have more, grants given out between
Yep.
the DCG and the District 46 Foundation.
Yep. Okay. Well,
Um,
folks, if there isn't anything else, did you have something else, Tasha?
No, I was just to tell
Okay.
everybody thank you. And I appreciate each and every one of you. If you need anything, don't hesitate to reach out.
Thank
We
you.
won't.
All right, take
Thank you.
care.
Paul, do you have
you.
anything? Nancy?
Uh,
Anybody?
Adam, I'm
Yeah.
gonna, and unless you've got something else going on tomorrow, I want to talk to you about the DCG grant application, and if Yarrington Lions can make an application right away.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and end this recording.
Awesome.
Thank you, everyone, for your
Thank you, Tasha.
participation and showing up on a
Thank
Sunday.
you. My pleasure.
Now, I want you to keep in mind, we have another one coming. And I think it's on the 29th.
Yes.
Yeah. And so it's going to be the second one this month. Pass it around. Our instructor is going to be past District Governor Len Day out of Canada is going to be our instructor. So
What topic?
how
How to grow your club.
to grow your club. That's exactly right.
Okie dokie.
And
Very
I
good.
have a club in mind, Janice.
No, gee, you do.
How to grow your club. All right.
Denise.
Well, thank you, everybody. Everyone take care,
Bye.
okay?
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you for
Thank
the
you.
Bye-bye.
information.
I have
Bye.
Yeah.
new member.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
Adam. Bye, Paul.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Denise.
Thank you.
Bye, Nancy.